Blizzard trademarks Warlords of Draenor, possible new WoW expansion. Blizzard just trademarked Warlords of Draenor in New Zealand. It was then registered in Australia shortly afterwards. And that's pretty much all they've done so far. It was also worth mentioning that warlordsofdraenor.com was registered a month ago. So it could be the new expansion, but Warlords of Draenor, since there's absolutely no other information on it right now, and just pure speculation, what could they base the new expansion off based on that name? Well, considering they created Mist of Pandaria out of nowhere, there's so much that can happen with this. First off, Draenor is Outlands, pretty much. Warlords are the Horde chiefs, or the top generals in the Horde army. So it could have something to do with going back to Outlands, but that doesn't really make sense since there's no real reason to go back there. But maybe if you go back to before it was destroyed by, what is his name, Nezrul? I can't say his name right, the Lynch King guy. If you go back in time, it could be a go back in time expansion, or one where the world remakes itself and you go back, but that doesn't really make sense. Like, why would you want to do that? Unless it has something to do with the Burning Legion, because the Burning Legion has been pretty much ignored, and it is a major factor in WoW lore, because Sargeras is still out there, kil'jaden is still out there, the Burning Legion is still alive and well and trying to kill everyone, but there's also Queen Azara under the sea, and that would probably make a good expansion since she's been set up for ages and they still haven't dealt with her. But Warlords of Draenor, it could be anything really, because it could also just be talking about, you know, the Horde leaders. It doesn't necessarily have to be about Outlands. It could just have something to do with the Horde again, like Mist of Pandaria was, and they could be continuing on with the Garrosh thing immediately without taking a pause. So, what could it be? Going back to Outlands as it is now, which doesn't really make any sense. There's no real reason to go back unless Illidan isn't dead, which is possible because they have hinted that he might still be alive. But then again, Illidan was only there to hide from kil'jaden, and Illidan isn't really that big of a deal. It's more of a kil'jaden is the guy you need to go after next. Then after kil'jaden, it's Sargeras, and once Sargeras is dead, all evil in the universe is gone. Well, not really, because there's still the Twisted Nether, or the Burning Legion, who was there before Sargeras. They're the reason he became evil in the first place. So, Warlords of Draenor. Could have something to do with the Burning Legion because they're still around, but if they, I don't know. A fight with Sargeras, that would be awesome, but he's still stuck in no man's land with no way to get back. And just having like a piece of his soul and an avatar body was enough to cause so much trouble. So they could go back to a pre-destruction of Outlands Draenor. They could go back to regular Draenor. Draenor could just be a side story, and it has something to do with something on Azeroth. It could be anything really, because just like with Mist of Pandaria, they pretty much just pulled that out of nowhere and made a great expansion around it. I guess they're never going to conclude the Nagas in Neptulon, or they might do it, kind of like how there was the whole Fireland side quest and the, I don't know, they could, you never know what's going to happen in expansion, because things happen like while other things are happening, you know, like Yogg-Saron happened when Lynch King was around. That didn't necessarily have, I mean, it did tie in with the Lynch King, but they didn't really have to do it. Or the Argent Crusade, that whole thing didn't really need to happen at all, but they still added it in, so they could do in other things, like finally telling us what happens with the Nagas or Neptulon. That would be awesome, but I don't know. That's just my speculation for this. I'm really excited to see what happens, because I really want to see the Burning Legion story progress, because they haven't done anything with it since Outlands.